I chose this match because Bryce Andonian is really, really unorthodox, and he does a lot of things that all of us as wrestling coaches would tell you not to do, and it really surprises people. And so he's from Virginia Tech, right? This is for 5th place at 157 pounds. And I want to show you, see how he put down, his hand going on the mat there is actually a good thing. It's a down block, because what Kellar would be doing normally if he followed him would be to catch that near leg, and the down block would help to prevent that. All right, so just your basic feeling each other out kind of period here. But sparks are going to start flying pretty quick, and a lot happens, so then I'll break it down for you nice and slow. Now pay attention to that overhook that Kellar has there. Okay, so he's going to use that to dump. Okay, so that right hand that's on the mat, he's going to block at the hip, right? Classic dump, come up around the waist. But then Andonian, he's unorthodox, man. And look what ends up happening. I'll break this down for you slowly because a lot happens. Okay, so here, see how Kellar's right arm is on the ground? Watch when he's going to drop his hip to the mat and block Andonian's far hip right there. Okay, usually most people teach to go to the knee. Okay, so now he does the classic thing, which is to come up, because most people would try to belly out here, but Andonian uses that overhook to block, okay, and then an underhook on the far side and bridges hard, tries to use his legs really to bring him over. Now watch how that underhook ends up coming around and wrapping the head. Okay, so I'll back it up. So he's got such good awareness of where he is. He realizes he could go back to his own back. So then he circles it through, switches to the head, and turns it into a head and arm, which we call in wrestling, right? Or then this position where he finishes here, Keisugatami. Now, nobody I've ever seen in jiu-jitsu teaches this as a counter, where he peels the hand off and he's sitting up because he's got to keep his back off the mat. If he doesn't keep his back off the mat, then he's going to get pinned and the match is over. So he throws in that near leg, right? Flattens him out here. Classic good wrestling. Okay, keep him flat. Start getting some riding time. And so we actually in college, like when I was wrestling in the 90s, stopped doing cross-body rides for this reason. Because it gives the other guy access to, now you get into this, I'm in a crossbody, he's in a crossbody. And, you know, in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, people act like they invented this position. This is a wrestling position that happens all the time. And I think people don't know the history of it, but Craig Jones didn't say that he invented it. It's just that people say that he did. It's an octopus guard. Now he's going to get hit for technical violation, because you see how he's grabbing his own singlet there? Right, so they got caught in that switch, sort of re-switch position, or octopus guard, right, in jiu-jitsu, right? It's been around in wrestling forever. And it's not exactly the kind of position you want to be in, like willingly, because you have the same exact move. So if you've ever watched any of my stuff, I really dislike 50-50 positions, because why would you go into battle having the same weapons? You know, you want an advantage. So it looks like Andonian hurt his knee earlier. Now watch this. Okay, when he lines up, I was always taught to line up on the side when his leg is pointing out like that. So he uses like a half to turn him over. But you see how Andonian goes with it? I mean, he's so squirrely, man. Yeah, and they get into this battle here, which I'll show you at a slower resolution. Okay, so he goes to the half, right? And he kind of willingly goes over, which is not what anybody normally does. He just goes with it. And then he tries to hip through really hard. This messes a lot of people up because it's so unorthodox, right? And see, it worked. I mean, it got him off his back. And then the ref, see, he waves it off. He didn't get any points there. And then he gets the reversal out of it. So he gives him the 2, and then, you know, pretty much almost goes to like, not really a knee bar position because his legs aren't between it, but he can use it to get a reversal, and then they get kind of back into where they could be in this octopus guard again, except, you know, he does the appropriate thing and sort of drives his hips forward to put his back flat on the mat. And again, because it's wrestling, he has to worry about it. In jiu-jitsu, you wouldn't be as worried. I mean, you should still be worried, but it's not as big of a deal. Whereas in wrestling, it's over. So here's where things get really interesting, okay? This is a classic way to turn somebody. He does the half Nelson and then grabs the wrist. And Andonian shows unbelievable shoulder flexibility here. See how he's still got the wrist there? And look at his shoulder. My collegiate wrestling coach, Brian Reardon, our head coach, was a phenomenal strategist, and he was a referee himself, and he knew what they were looking for. And instead of digging the half that deep like he is, he would have us go to the far tricep. And what it does is it prevents the guy from posting out, and you can also pull him into you so that you can get the back exposure without the ref stopping it like he just did there, because he had to call potentially dangerous. His shoulder was basically out. Clearly, he's double jointed. Well, these guys are also tougher than shit, so there's that. But I think he's just got phenomenal shoulder flexibility. See, now watch. See how his leg is out like that? You want to line up on that side because now he can't pivot to turn. So he does a pretty nice forward roll there. And now I would have gone to the Merkel, but he goes to a spladle here. Obviously, for reasons you can tell from how I'm built with short legs, this is not my kind of move. And you're not going to pin anybody with this usually. But watch this. So he goes to the quad pod, and he willingly flips forward. Almost makes it to the far side of his body. But he's able to switch his hips, stay on top. But then Andonian gets height again. And see, I've showed the Merkel on my channel before, the side headlock. I would have gone to that over the spladle. But clearly, I mean, he's rehearsed this quite a bit. And he's very good at it because he did it with a high level of skill. I do not have the legs for this. I don't feel like I've ever seen a short guy do a really good job with a spladle. But it does give you the back exposure. And, of course, continue with the riding time. So he was in control that whole time. And you can see his 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, time. So then now this means, that was just the first period. So that was a lot happening in the first period right there. All right, so Andonian gets choice here. What's he going to do? He chooses down. See him point to the mat. And, he's looking over to his coaches. Is that what we want to do? Yeah, because he could have deferred and given it to Kellar, but he chooses down. Right, so you can defer, and then the next period, then it'll be your choice. So he keeps lining up on this side, which I would have lined up on that other side to prevent him from moving. But you see what he did with it, though? He used that to throw in that far leg. Let me show you that again. That's really nice. So he lines up on a traditional righty side, but watch that far leg. See how he blocks the arm from coming in there and then throws the far leg in. Very nice. It flattened him out right away, although it doesn't seem like Bryce minds that much. I mean, he's got such strong shoulders. Most of the moves from the top position in wrestling are flatten people out and then crank on their shoulders, which you can see just doesn't work on him. And look, he reaches back. It's such a classic thing that you're not allowed to do in wrestling. But look, it costs him, man. This time it costs him. All right, I'm going to show it to you again. So, whistle blows. Okay, far leg comes in. Beautiful. Okay, crossbody ride here a little bit. Not super crossbody. And Andonian takes his bait, reaches over and grabs his head, which is something that you're taught to never do. I mean, he is an All-American, and he's very Gumby and very unorthodox, but he grabs his head, which usually results in, from here, a guillotine, what we call in wrestling, or a twister in jiu-jitsu. Right, so but see how he turns into it? You never do that. He turns into it, but it was so tight, he had such good hip control there that this is going to be the end of it. So now his hip control is just so good, and he's going to try to bridge, but it's very tight. And then there comes the pin. Andonian is a very difficult guy to wrestle. He's very strong and unorthodox. And, when you know a lot of the fundamentals, you can break them. Okay, but now this results in him, both of them being All-Americans, but him placing 5th here in the country at the NCAA finals for 5th and 6th. Thanks to those who are supporting the Patreon channel. I really appreciate it. And a portion of that money, 33%, goes to Cat Paw, my grappling club that serves a low-income community, and also to support my YouTube so I can make more videos and show technique. And thanks again for everybody's support and kind comments and reaching out to me for coaching advice.